So next thing we want to check is we want to check the upholstery and also check the headrests and the shoulder pads. So here we're just checking for any cuts or wear on the main pad or on the shoulder pads as well. We want to make sure these shoulder pads don't have any cuts or frays in the shoulder pads themselves, because a lot of the time with the ladies on these machines, they'll have the thin straps on their shoulder straps on their shirts or whatnot in their workout gear, and they'll have their skin may even touch this as well. So you want to make sure we have it, there's no cuts or frays in here, and that we wipe it clean after every use. Also the headrest, just check if there's any wear marks. You might have a wear mark where the main part of the head will go and rest. And also we tend to get a lot of hair and dirt and dust around here as well, being this is where the head is. So we want to clean out within here, which you might get a clean cloth or rag, or even a paintbrush, just a dry plain paintbrush, and you can wipe around here, and within that gap down here you can wipe with a paintbrush as well, and around the shoulder pads. Just want to check this headrest is tight and firm. Just give it a wiggle, make sure it's firm, and that the block is adjustable, which it is. We want to check these bolts here on the shoulder pad mounts. These ones are 4mm Allen key, and these ones are 3mm Allen key. So let me just get them. So with these, we just want to tighten these up. And again, just put your Allen key in and just do that slight turn just to make sure they're quite firm. Some of them you might find are a bit loose. So just go around all four and just check them. On the headrest, the shoulder pads here as well. On these ones, you'll just tighten them up as you need to. See, that one's actually quite loose around here. That's actually quite loose. So I can firm that up. So make sure it's tight and it's not going to be wobbling in any way. Make sure the Allen keys are pushed right in and then lock it down tight. These are the 4 screws we would undo if you're going to replace the shoulder pads themselves. You can undo these, leave the metal brackets on, and just replace the shoulder pads or have them reupholstered as well. And then the last thing we want to look at is the tracking or the alignment of the main carriage. So this is the main carriage that'll move up and down here. What we've got here is another second reformer, which is up on an angle, so you can see the underside of it. And this is the underside, the inner workings of it. This here, you've got the springs here, which is what is the main mounting point for the springs, and we adjust it from down the bottom here with the color codes on them. So that's the underside of, you'd be looking from the top side, and it's got these straps that hold them in place, so they're aligned. So with these carriages, you've got the main vertical wheels, which will hold the whole weight of the carriage up, and also the weight of the user, which are these wheels here. And then also we've got the bumper wheels or horizontal wheels, which are these ones here, which will bump on this side wall here, on the inner side wall, and we'll keep the carriage tracking correctly. So these wheels here, we can check, these are usually the flat wheels, and these are the rounded off wheels, slightly smaller size. We have some adjustments in these carriages. With this one here, this side, we undo these 2 4mm Allen keys. We've got that slide bracket there, you can see. So this whole bracket here will slide in or slide out as you need to. So you can loosen them off, and then you actually tighten from here or loosen this bolt, and that'll move this whole bracket, or outways, move this wheel out against the bumper track, or it'll move it in as you need to adjust it, and then you'd lock back off these wheels. So normally you have to do that systematically. We have to make sure we have it tracking in the right direction. So you might, if your reformer's laying down on the ground, you can lay down underneath it, reach up, loosen off these 2 screws, do maybe 1 turn or 2 turns on the adjustment bolts, and then you can tighten up your lock nuts on the adjustment brackets, and then try it again, lay the machine back down again, have a go on it with the ropes, and just see if the carriage is going to be tracking straight and true. If these wheels look like they're too worn out, or even the bumper wheels look like they're too worn, they are replaceable parts, so you can replace them. It is a high wear and tear item, so they can wear quickly enough, depending on how often classes you have. You might need to go replace the wheels as needed. Whilst we're here looking at the underside of the carriage, this is the underside of the adjuster cleat, which will adjust this rope. So if I just undo this, so this is the underside, so you're reaching down and you're pulling this lever up. When you pull this lever up, you can see the rope is biting on these aluminium teeth here. So as I hold that up, this can freely move in and out as you need it to. If I let that go, then it locks in place, and from the top I can't move it anymore now. You can move it one way but not the other way. So if I push this through here, let this off, I can't pull this back through from the top side, but from the bottom side I can pull it through because there's spring tension, and that's the adjustment that you're doing when you're pulling from underneath. So it's a one-way moving locking clamp for the rope. And with that, that will cause some extra, you can see a little bit of fraying on the rope here as well, which sometimes if that wears away too much, again, you might need to replace the rope because the rope might be worn just from use in that slight adjustment that your users will be doing. We might need to replace that rope. So the next adjustment we'll do is with this clamp system here, we have a lock nut on this side here that will come loose on the top side as well as the underside. With this one, we don't have a particular tool that is made for it. So if we just wedge this in here to hold it in place, then we go around to the top side. And then what I'm adjusting is this nut here that the rope comes out of. So if I was to put this on here, firm that up, and then I'll physically turn this side, so you tighten it up, and that's all you need to do. Sometimes you just need to hold it from the back side so the nut won't turn underneath, and then you can lock that up tight if these become loose. Also check these two 3mm Allen keys here. So with this, you get your 3mm Allen key, put it into there, and then give it a tighten up. These here you might be able to turn maybe up to half a turn, like an eighth of a turn to half a turn, and you can just firm it up like that and make sure they're tight. You got two on this side and then two on your opposite side as well. But that's we thought was a good view to look from the underside of a reformer to check for any abnormal wear and tear, anything you can see is wrong, anything wrong with the springs here, the spring coils. If there's not even gaps, replace your spring. You can replace these individual colours as need be, or you can buy them as a whole complete set. The other little things are things like the feet here. Now, this one's up in the air. These feet are the feet that touch the ground in your class or your studio. So if these are either fallen off or missing, you're going to have this metal here rubbing on more than likely your floorboards if you've got floorboards or rubber flooring. So if your feet are ever missing or you're missing one or two of them, it's going to be unstable. So you can buy new feet and we can replace them and they can just be pushed on there as well. And that's a good overview of how to adjust and tighten, do maintenance on a reformer. And we also, with the maintenance of reformers, we also have a lot of spare parts as well. So you can see on the bench here, we've got a range of the available spare parts. We've got the double loop handles, which again, you just want to check on the inside edge here if they're worn out. If they look any frayed, you need to replace them. These are an easy fit. A lot of the studios can do it themselves just by undoing the carabiner here and then clipping the new one on. So you can do it yourself. You've got new carabiner clips here that are available. You've got the riser complete. We've got the riser with the post as well as the pulley, or we can sell just this individual pulley part here as well, and then you can fit it by undoing and tightening up this bolt and nut here. This is the quick release pin for the riser, so that will lock in place in there, and if this the handles are missing or broken off, you can replace the pop pin itself. We have new rubber feet. These are similar to the feet that go on the ground, as well as the feet that go on the end of the reformers. So like this one standing up, you'll have these rubber feet on the actual bottom of the reformer. And you can see this one here, which we have them under here. So if they've ever come off, they'll just pull out of the wooden block, or if they've fallen off, then you just get a new one and push it back on. They're the pieces that will actually touch the ground, so the wood doesn't touch the ground and you're not getting wear on the actual wood, the wooden end panel. Ropes we have, which is quite a common part to replace as it wears out. So if you've got those stringy bits on the rope or the ends of the carabiners look old and worn out, or the heat shrink on the ends worn out or broken, then you can replace the rope assemblies that come in pairs. The shoulder pads assembly blocks, you can get the whole block, or you can get just the shoulder pad itself. Gear bar, you can buy the whole gear bar assembly if you don't want to replace the individual pieces. We do have these little eyelet rings we can replace as well, as need be. Headrest, you got the whole headrest you can replace. You might have a couple of these spare in the gym, but if one wears out, you can replace it straight away, and then you can either buy a new headrest from us, or you can even have this reupholstered as well at your local upholstery place. This is the piano type hinge that mounts to the headrest, and we'll adjust the headrest up and down into the 3 block position. That's your wooden block, which adjusts your headrest in 3 positions. And then you've got the wooden end cap, the foot plate, top foot plate, and also we have the range stickers for the Peak Pilates stickers as well. So if they look like they're worn out, you can replace these stickers also. So that's an overview on how to do the maintenance and repairs on the Fit Reformer. Also just to show that the risers, if you don't get to the service and maintenance, which we've done in this video, you can see that these ones are actually quite worn out. So this is actually worn right through to the bolt, and you can see the end of the bolt there. So they've worn out basically too much, that it's worn right through. So that's a good idea to undo those bolts, take out the pulley. You can see here with these pulleys that they do pull out, so they're past the metal bracket here. You see it's moving out past the metal bracket. If it moves out past the metal bracket like that, then more than likely you do need to replace the riser pulley itself. One thing I'll show you is if you can see that if you have this dirt and dust that's built up in here, if you have that grey colour, again this is this wet cloth or towel that I've got, if we just push this between, and you can see the dirt and dust that comes out of there, and it should be quite clean like this, or black looking like that. It shouldn't be the grey colour. If that's the grey colour, then that means there's a dirt and dust build up in there, and you could either try and put a wet towel or cloth between the riser pulley and the metal bracket, and then wipe that clean and then apply some oil to it, or you'll need to fully pull this apart, clean it out fully with a wet rag or wet cloth, and then put it all back together again. And then after you put it together, you can apply some drip oil, some drip lubricant, which we have here, which is just similar to this, like I showed you before. On the other one, if you come in here, you can have a look closely here. If you were to apply this, you'd want to apply it within the gap here and let it drip down in between there. So you're wanting to fall down on the inside all the way down to this bolt head, and then it will lubricate with inside there in between this gap on the bolt head. And that's a good way to do your regular maintenance on the riser pulleys. So thanks again for watching, and if any parts you may need, or if any job's too big for you, you might not be able to do it yourself, you can log a service request through our online portal, through Fitness EMS, and then we can arrange a technician to come out there and fix it up for you. So thanks again.